He gave us joy. He gave us joy. He gave us joy. He gave us joy. These little melodies be in my head. They come so naturally too. And I didn't used to have, I think it's a spiritual gift. It has to be. It was a lot. I mean, I used to sing in the choir. And, you know, I was okay. I don't consider myself, you know, a really good singer. You know, like, hell, I never considered myself a good singer. Like, it's just something that's new, though. Like, and actually, it's not really new because when I was younger, I was really into music. Like, me and my brother, we performed for a mom for Mother's Day. And like I said, I performed in the church, in the choir, and I rapped and all of these things. So music has always been a part of my life, you know. And on my dad's side, my dad has had all the talent, like, you know, the music and just the gifts. Like, it came, like, I noticed that my dad's side is the musical part of my family. And anyway, it stemmed down to me and my brother. My brother is in a band. You know, but, yeah, music has always been a part of my life. And me, my brother, and my dad used to sing. I remember when we were young, like, me, my brother, and my dad would sing. My dad would play like the guitar or something. My dad was always very musically inclined. And so was me and my brother. My mom, though, on the other hand, she couldn't hold a tune to save her life. You know, I love my mama, but she knows, she already knows. Like, but, you know, I just be reflecting in my life, you know, like, the Father brings these things back to my remembrance, you know, because I have been put to sleep. Like, the Israelites have been put to sleep, and we were born into deception. Every Israelite upon the face of the earth, along with all other people, but we were born into deception, okay? And the 1/3 of us, we had to have the ears to hear, the heart to receive, and the eyes to see, which was given by way of the Spirit. But we had to take heed to the Spirit in order to hear from the Spirit. Because if you're going based upon the things that you have been taught to believe since the time that people have been teaching you, since the time you come out of the womb, you start being taught by your parents. But have you ever questioned where your parents learned what they have taught you? You ever question and ask, where did my parents learn these things that they're handing down to me? Like, don't you think it's logical to question where your parents get their information that they're handing down to you? It's not disrespectful to question the things that were handed down to your parents from generation to generation to generation, especially when you read it in the Bible that we would cease from being a nation and that we will forget who we are. Okay? So when I came across scriptures like that, well, that told me that my history has been suppressed. My history had been erased. My history had been hidden. So if my history has been suppressed, erased, and hidden, then logically, the things that we're taught has been used as a tool to further the suppression of the truth of who we are. You know, and then you read scriptures like, Satan deceiveth the whole world. So, you know, I didn't think that I'm holier than thou and I'm too prideful to question whether I had been deceived. I knew I had been deceived because I was always the curious type of person. So I always had a lot of questions in my mind. So when I got the opportunity to look into a lot of things that I wondered about, I found by the leading of the Spirit that every single thing I had been taught has been a lie. And it wasn't all at once. You know, it was one thing here, and then breaking through that deception, and learning by way of the Spirit of truth, applying it to my life, and then the Father giving more understanding and more of His wisdom and more of His knowledge. And as I go through the stages of elevation and unlearning all the things of this world that I had been taught to believe in since birth, this is how we progress, people. This is how you elevate. But this is how you know that there have been lies, okay? And you gotta come to that realization, all right? You gotta come to the realization that we have been lied to. And it is your duty as an individual that have been given free will. You have been given the right to choose for yourself whom you're going to serve. You cannot possibly make that logical choice when you never question the things that you have been taught to believe, because you block out the Spirit of truth and you hold tight to the things that have come to you via man, via men, via your enemies who have set up all these things upon the earth, your educational system, your medical industry, scientism, freaking everything, your banks, your economic system, all of it, your governments, all of it is of Satan. And if you're playing the game, you're thinking that you need to vote your next politician in and make some changes, then you have been deceived. You're not hearing from the Spirit of truth. You're hearing from men. And you're being misled straight to the slaughter because you refuse to give ear to the Spirit of truth. And that's dangerous. That's a dangerous place to be. And my dad, he literally had the audacity to say that it's dangerous what I have been called to do. Okay? So I am not doing this in and of myself. I fought it for a long time. Now I talk about it on another video in depth. about how I fought the spirit of truth when it came to revealing what I was born as, how I was born, and making it be known what my life is like, my personality, who am I? To come out with the videos about who I am, uncover myself, reveal myself, because for the past 10 plus years, I have been online, okay? I have been in a virtual reality, okay? And I talk about it in other videos in detail. I don't really want to go into the details here. But the point being is that the Father called me out, and I felt the call. Since about 2016, and mind you, I had just opened up my club. It was New Year's Eve of 2016. Okay, quote unquote, by this world standards, New Year's in the dead of winter. Okay. Yeah, I know it's asinine. Those that are awake, I know you're rolling your eyes. Same here. We're in this together. We get each other. But there's many people that don't even understand this basic truth, that new life springs forth, that the new year comes in when new life springs forth. New life springs forth the new year. Alright, that's something basic that many people don't know and many people don't understand. But anyway, this is when I opened my club, and this is when I first branched off to opening up my own club on SL. Okay, all that time before, I had been working for other clubs, you know, and under other club owners, and me and club owners did not get along because I had my way of wanting to do things. I had my style of music. I didn't like talking on mic because I was very self-conscious of my voice at that time. I didn't want no question of my voice whatsoever. And I was very self-conscious about it. So I didn't like talking on mic. Not to mention the fact that I just was overall nervous all around. I didn't want to be on mic, and they wanted me to do commercials and talk about things that was trivial and didn't matter to me, was irrelevant. At this time, I had just started going back studying the Bible. I had just started rereading the Bible during all of this, okay? But the things that took place in 2016 with me, it was my last year that I celebrated Halloween. I had celebrated Halloween October, I believe it was 2016. That was the last year that I celebrated it. Okay? And I was straight dressed up as a demon, you know, as a devil with horns, tail, and all. Yeah, wings, you know, vampire teeth. The whole nine. This was in 2016, and at the time, I had a wife on there that I had married. All right, I was not treating her right. Now, me and her had our issues, but I'm gonna 100% admit that I never treated her right. I felt like I was justified in breaking it off with her, but in all honesty, putting all my cards on the table, she was very good to me and I was never good to her. And so that's the way that she's viewing it. Doesn't matter what was the final straw in our relationship. She's seen it as she was always good to me and I was always unfaithful to her. Always lied to her. Always, in her mind, treated her like she was a fool because I would lie to her face constantly. And I didn't treat her right. Okay? So that's all my cards on the table. That being said, I had a lot of girlfriends on the side. And you know, I was studying the Bible. I was studying the quote-unquote Torah. And I was coming to the understanding that I'm an Israelite. Okay? I did not come completely off of SL until about 2020. I started really coming up, well, about 2019 it started being more so that I would kind of not be on there as much, and then 2020 even more so. By 2021 it was rare for me to pop on there, and now that it's 2022 I haven't even been on there for the year 2022. You know, I had went on there momentarily at the beginning of 2021 for the last lover that I was with. She was throwing a party, and she asked, well, yeah, I think she asked me to DJ her party, and I was more than happy to do so, you know. Nevertheless, I did jump a lot because I wanted to make something understood. The fact that I wouldn't say ignoring the spirit of truth, because I was seeking, okay, and I was going back and I was rereading the scriptures and starting in the Torah, and but at the same time I was feeling conviction, okay, I was feeling conviction that my time was up on SL and that I needed to come up off of there. But I had just opened my own club, and opening day it was very successful, way more successful than I had imagined that it would be. You know, we had a packed house, and the club started out very successful, and we got a lot of compliments. People loved the style of music that me and my partner at the time, this is the Gentile that has been in my life for the past 12 years, the one that I didn't treat right. We opened this club together, okay? So me and her, like, well, I mean, it started out with just me, and then later on she started to DJ. And she fell in love with the type of music that I was finding and that I was playing, and so she went to go find some too, and a lot of things she helped me to. So, like, you know, I'm not trying to boast and say, oh, I'm the one that got her into DJing, but kind of did, you know. But she was good at it. She was good at it, and she got compliments just like I did. We both got compliments on our club. And I always wondered to myself, like, how come we can never really make a dent in SL? How come, like, it seems like we should have been very famous on SL due to our unique way, our unique type of club, our unique type of music, our atmosphere, our flow, and things, you know, just how we were, because we were real. You know, we were real, and we had something special, and people seen it. And so it was always in the back of my mind, why is this not really taking off the way that it should? And when we were successful, you know what happened? I ended up losing net. I had got on hard times. I ended up losing net for like a good month or so. And when I came back, I think it was about a month and a half. Now, Jennifer can verify this with me. She can verify it because I don't remember exactly, but during the time that I was not on there, our club had basically shut down. You know, like we were still paying for the land fees, but we didn't have no sets. So people stopped coming, and a lot of people had left SL. So make a long story short, by the time I got back on, our club was never at the success level that it was at. It never got back to the point that it was at when I lost net. Okay? It never got back to that point, nor better than that point. And so the Most High was letting me know subtly that my time on SL was up, that this is not my purpose. I'm not supposed to be on here. And I started having a lot of negative experiences on there. You know, just a lot of random things, but as the Father brought it back to my remembrance, like I see now of His subtle ways and how He shows us that this is not right for you. But you see how long it took me from 2016 all the way till 2021, through 2021, making rare occasion appearances on there, And now we're in 2022 and I haven't been on there at all. Okay? You see how long it took me to take heed to the spirit that was telling me to be real about who I am, about feeling like how I'm a transgender, but that how I was commanded not to do any changes to my body. Alright? But that I need to be real with who I am. And so I have done that finally, you know, and I did feel such a release because it was weighing heavy on me, because the Father would not let me forget that He was calling me, okay? But as He was calling me, I had to take heed to the Spirit of truth. I had to take heed to the leading and guiding of the Spirit and obey. Okay? I could not do it my own way. I tried that. Okay? I tried that. I created a SoundCloud. And I edited my voice. And I uploaded the messages that was in my spirit to SoundCloud. With my voice edited. Made it hella deep. Where it sounded creepy. Like, seriously. People, understand how I tried to fight. Okay? I was kicking and screaming. Did not want to come public with how I was born. And I felt I would be ridiculed by the Hebrew community and not accepted. I felt that I would be dragged through the mud. And all of these things regardless of how I am operating in the spirit of truth. I was scared. I was terrified. And I just was questioning it. Well, but what if, you know? But I could not run. No matter where I went, I could not run. It got to the point to where I confessed it to a total stranger. Well, I mean, I confessed it to, and I got a video where I talk about this, and which hurt me, and which it kind of like hindered, or it kind of added to the reason why I didn't want to come out with this information, was because of how the relationship went with the person that I trusted with the information about what was so heavy on my spirit and what was so heavy on my mind and my heart. So I had came clean to her, you know, believing that confess your sins one unto another, you know, so that you can lean upon one another. But it was used against me, and she ended up deleting me and blocking me. You know, and that really hurt me because I seen her as a close sister, you know. And I never once hit on her. I never once had any thought in my head that was unrighteous towards her. You know, so that really hurt, you know, bad. And like I said, it attributed to my hesitancy of wanting to come forward with this information. Like, you know, people are not going to accept this. And how I see so many posts about the Most High hates homosexuals. The Most High hates transgender. LGBT is going to burn in a lake of fire. And all these things that I've seen all my life, you know. Hatred against a certain group of people that are not normal by this world's ideology, by this society, okay? And now that many things are changing, I feel like, and I think that this understanding came by way of the spirit of truth, because Satan is cunning, okay? Satan is cunning. So you know why there is laws being enacted to protect LGBT and gay people, and they're doing all they can to stand with the gay people and transgender people and all that identify as LGBT. This satanic beast system is setting up all of these things for the LGBT, basically opening up the mouth of hell, right? Having them all foul in, one after the other, under the umbrella of the protection of the beast. But the beast does not really care. No, they don't really care. Because all this time before now, Christians were the main ones causing many people to commit suicide because of how they identified themselves, because of how they felt on the inside of them, and how they never fit into this society. And Christians made them feel so low that they wanted to take their own lives. But now, all of a sudden, the Christian church is welcoming gay people and LGBT. Think, okay? Do you really believe that the Most High Almighty hates these people? No, he doesn't. And he was never for their mistreatment. He was never for you being hateful towards them and telling them that they're going to burn in a lake of fire. He desired for them to come unto him so that he can love on them and teach them by way of the Spirit of truth. But Satan, that crafty little devil, that snake in the grass, he's acting like their protector. So they will be Satanists. And they will ride for his kingdom because after all, Satan loves everybody, right? Oh, we gonna party in hell. Satan deceiveth the whole world. Now, I didn't mean to get off into this, but obviously the Father wanted it out there. He wants this message out there. And I just read something within the sealed portion that blew my mind, and that a lot of people is going to be angry about, because it takes away their weapon. It takes away their weapon because it was Paul and a few other men that spoke in the Bible against homosexuality. It never came out of the mouth of the Messiah. Even though the Messiah, yes, he did say he created man in the beginning, was man and woman created, and they are to become one. But see, not all of the Messiah's words have been included in your canon, in your so-called Holy Bible that was pieced together by Gentiles. They suppressed a lot of the things that the Messiah taught. You ain't got the whole story in the Bible. No, you only got a piece to the puzzle. But there's other puzzle pieces that by the leading of the Spirit of truth, we find these other missing puzzle pieces and we put it all together to give you the bigger picture. Love the Most High with all thy heart, soul, and body. And if you do this, you will love thy neighbor as thyself. Man, beast, every living being upon the face of the earth, including the creation, such as the trees and the plant life and all these things. People are so callous these days. Do you know how many trees are uprooted? Like, you know how many forests have been destroyed? These Gentiles have had no respect whatsoever for the earth in which the Father created and gave to us all freely. They have done everything to suppress the truth of the Most High and create a world of illusion and enslave everything up under the whole heaven. The Father is love. If a gay person kept his eternal laws, it is not an eternal law not to be attracted to the same gender. I am sorry if that's hard for you to hear. I'm sorry if you can't accept that. The truth does not care whether or not you accept it. It is not an eternal law to not be attracted to the same gender. It is an eternal law to love. So when you're putting down someone that's gay or a lesbian or a transgender or any one of the LGBT minus the pedophile, because that's on a whole nother level, then you are operating in the laws of Satan, in the laws of men, which is contrary to the eternal law of the Father. Because you have become angry for one, you're angry at these people. Many so-called Christians, Bible believers, get all worked up and are angry against the LGBT community. So that's one sin right there. That's an eternal sin. Anger. Because it leadeth to murder. And you can murder with your words. Many transgender people have committed suicide because of how they were treated and the words that were said to them. But how do you know that this so-called gay person or this so-called transgender does not keep the eternal laws of the Father? The eternal law of love, patience, kindness, goodness, mercy, all the fruits of the Spirit. What if they have all the fruits of the Spirit, but yet they're attracted to the same gender? Are they condemned to hell? So, I'm going to bring forth that sealed portion in due time. But anyway, the Father made me understand this via the Spirit, that I do not need to be afraid to just be obedient to what He is telling me to do. He is the one that told me to start this YouTube channel and to not make any edits on my voice. To be 100% real about who I am, what I have struggled with my whole entire life. Tell my testimony. Continue to elevate so that it can help others. This is the reason for my channel. And it was done under the leading of the Spirit. So nobody can tell me that I'm not hearing from the Spirit when I'm being obedient to the Spirit and there's fruit produced in my life. But I said all of that to make you understand that you gotta have the ears to hear the Spirit of truth. Because if you continue to block it out and you never give ear, you're only holding on and accepting the things that you have been taught to believe. And sadly, you have been deeply deceived. And it's heartbreaking, it's frustrating, because I see these things, I feel these things, and people just, like my family, I care about them, you know. I really care about my family, but they won't listen to me and they shun me. You know, no matter how much love I show to them, you know, no matter how many times I try to reach out, they want to rush off the phone. They never want to stay on the phone with me. They never want to really have a conversation. You know, that's heartbreaking to not be able to have a heartfelt, deep conversation with your own family members. Because they are afraid. They're afraid. And they go through cognitive dissonance and they don't like the feeling of They don't like the feeling that they get when they hear something that conflicts with what they've been taught all their life. But they don't want to question the things that they have been taught all their life. But they read in the Bible that Satan deceiveth the whole world. You know, this shit pisses me off. Because, I mean, I know it shouldn't. And there's that anger. But I feel like it's righteous anger. You know, because, damn. How can you be so blinded? But then the Father brings to my remembrance that He has placed the blind on them. He's placed the blind on them, and that He will remove that blind in His timing. You know, so I can't force it. But I mean, damn, you know, I just feel for my family. I feel for my mother. You know, my mom is in her 60s, and she is working all the time. Okay? Working a 40-plus hour job a week. Okay? She is full-time. 60-something years old, working full-time. Giving 10% of her income to the damn abominable church. And all I want is to free my mom. Out of love, I want to free my mom. Because she is under bondage and she doesn't realize. But instead, like, she looks at me like I'm lazy, and like how she just, I don't know how to even explain it. All my life, she's looked at me like I'm lazy, like she looks down upon the fact that I never wanted to conform to this society. She looks down on the fact that I'm not really successful. I mean, she's told me that she's proud of me, you know, like in the past year, you know, she's told me that she was proud of me and whatnot, but overall, my mom just, she looks to my brother as like my brother is successful, okay? Because my brother has a career, he has a house, he has a wife, he has several vehicles, you know, so by this world standards, my brother is successful, and that is the way that my mother views him, is that she did good with him because he grew up to be an upstanding citizen. An upstanding citizen that pays his taxes and is obedient to the government and all these. He has conformed to this world. And my mom looks at that as a good thing. She looks at it as it's a good thing to conform to this world. But the scripture tells us that Satan deceiveth the whole world. So if the scripture tells us that Satan deceiveth the whole world, why in the hell would you want to conform to it? I rebelled against it my whole entire life. And I didn't know why until the Father told me in 2019 that He had chosen me. Okay? In 2017, like, I had an encounter with Him where He reminded me that He had been with me all of my life, and that yes, He had chosen me. Alright? At that time, that was when I first met Him, was in 2017. He told me who I was. So at that point, I knew I was an Israelite. I had started studying around the end of 2016. Now, mind you, I had opened my club at the beginning of 2016. By the end of 2016, I had studied a lot about who we are. Now, in 2017, I forget exactly what date, but I remember that that's when I met the Father, because He slammed the door of me getting a sex change. He slammed that door like right in my face. With Planned Parenthood, as I spoke with him, now I already came out with a video about this, so you can check that video out if you want more details on it. But nevertheless, make a long story short, that's when I first met the Most High Almighty, okay? This is where my life flashed before my eyes in a matter of seconds, but it seemed like a lifetime. The Father showing me all these instances where He was there in my life, protecting me. Okay? This was in the midst of my anger. Alright? In the midst of my anger, all of a sudden, the Most High breaks in. Like, he just breaks in. And he's like, I created you the way I created you. And I have chosen you. And he told me to not make any changes to my body. And to just be real. Now, this was 2017. Okay? And I was still on that cell. I was still having sexual relations on there. I quit eating shellfish and pork. I finished eating the pork that I had. I remember it was a gradual process, okay? And I feel like the Father was very lenient and very understanding and patient with me. The Father is love, and I have experienced it firsthand, okay? So when I first came to find out who I was in 2017, and come to find out as I was reading in Leviticus, okay? I was reading in Leviticus. Right before that, and I believe it was around 2017, he was showing me, because I came across a video telling me that he never gave us dead bodies to eat. Now, I don't know if this was in 2017 or 2018. I don't remember, okay? But I remember reading Leviticus, and I started applying the scripture to my life, okay? In 2017. So I gave up eating shellfish and pork and what I had left over, because, you know, hell, I had always been poor. So I didn't really have money to waste. I was not about to throw away what I had already bought before I found out that it was an abomination. You know, so I pray and I'm like, Father, please have patience and have mercy on me as I finish what I have. I didn't throw any of it away. Okay? Now, what I had way later, I ended up not eating, and I ended up giving it away. But the perishable stuff, I went ahead and consumed it, you know, because I already had it, and like I said, I didn't have money to waste. After I had ate the rest of the pork and shellfish, I didn't buy any more, okay? I never bought any more. And so I stuck to chicken and beef and you know, the so-called clean animals as I continued to study and progress and elevate and listen to the leading and guiding of the Spirit. Okay? And like I said, I was still on SL having sex on there. Alright? But I felt convicted. I felt conviction. And I tried to not, I wasn't trying to like blow it off, but in all honesty, I kind of did, because I was still doing it. I was still doing it, okay? All the way up to about 2021. All right, maybe not 2021. I don't remember if I did or not around 2021. I don't think I did. I think the last time I had my dates. I have my dates written down. So I can put those up there. I'll put those up there, my dates, okay? The dates that I completely stopped all sexual immorality, alright? But it wasn't until later. And while I was with these women on SL, I was not silent about all the things that was in my spirit and in my heart and in my mind. And I would try to talk to them about who we are. Because all of the women that I was with were Hebrews, okay? Like, I had went through the stage of, I was no longer into interracial dating, okay? I got to the point to where I was no longer interested in interracial dating. Because I come to find out who I was. I fell in love with my people. You know, I identified with my people and with the struggle that we've been through, you know, all this time. Now, that being said, like I told you, this woman had been in my life for going on 12 years now. And she was very good to me. She's been very good to me. And I care about her. I love her. in a righteous type of manner. Now, when I first met her, I didn't know that I didn't love her. I thought I loved her. But hell, how could I love her when I didn't even love myself? The Father had to teach me to love myself. Okay? And once He taught me to love myself, I began to love my people. And so that attributed it to me being attracted and drawn towards my own people. And I wanted to be with nothing but Hebrew women. Alright? And so while I was with them, I would tell them about who we are. I would be teaching them, and I would be breaking out the scripture and all of these things, while we're being intimate. Well, not at the same time of being intimate. You know what I'm saying. Like pillow talk. After we're intimate, I'm breaking out the scriptures and I'm flowing by way of the Spirit. Like the Spirit did not stop. Like it wasn't, but at one point I did feel like a disconnection as I continued to ignore the tugging and the pulling to come up off of SL, and constantly wondering how come my club is hardly, every time we throw parties and events, we hardly get anybody, like it got to the point to where it was very scarce, and well, I had all the signs there telling me that my time was up, but I was still fighting it and still trying to be on there, stroking my ego, because I was very comfortable with the virtual world. I felt I could be who I was without condemnation, without people putting me down and pointing fingers at me and trying to put me in a box and all of these things. So I believe around 2019, my excuse for staying on there, even though I was trying to stop the sexual immorality. So around 2019, I started pulling away from that and trying to be good. But at the same time, when them lonely birds hit, that's what made it hard, because I became lonely, and I was not used to not having female attention. I was not used to I was not used to not having a whole bunch of women in my inbox. Alright? So, it was like crickets. It was, like I wasn't hearing from any of them. So it would go like long periods of time to where like I felt like nobody was even thinking about me. So like them lonely birds would hit, and I would go on there, trying to connect with them. And that was the thing that drew me back in, was the lonely birds, because I felt like it was hard for me, man. It was hard to go from having all this female attention that I craved to not having any at all. And so that drew me back in for a small period of time. And that's when the Spirit, I felt like the Spirit had kind of departed, even though I still was reading the scripture, and I was still, at this point, hell, I was posting about, the test results that I would get on, the Bible thing, and I would talk to one of the girls that I was with about it, and she seemed so amazed by it, and she seemed to, like, adore it, the fact that, I would talk to her about the Bible. She said that it was sexy, and man, sometimes I'll be reading and she'd totally get butt naked and want to do the thing right there while I'm trying to break down the scripture. I'm like, hey, hold up, will you put your clothes back on? But like she actually seemed to be turned on by it. It was weird, kind of. But anyway, to make a long story short, you see the progress. Like it was not instantaneous. This walk is not instantaneous. And the Father is patient. Now, it's been a long time since I've been involved in any sexual immorality, including with myself. And like I said, these dates, I wrote them down. These are the dates. Put them back up here for you so you can see. And if you notice, those dates coincide with my channel. That I created the channel after I had been obedient, because I knew the stipulations of the Father. One, I could not edit my voice, and two, I had to be celibate. I had to be obedient and leave all sexual immorality behind. And I felt it was impossible. So this is one of the things that kept me from doing it, because I'm like, how am I supposed to do that? How am I just supposed to turn off these feelings? Like, you know, I felt it was impossible. But by the power of the Spirit, it was done. So anybody trying to condemn me for how I identify myself, you're going to have to deal with the Father, because you're judging unrighteously. None of us have the right to judge. Okay? So you cannot tell the heart of anybody. Okay? So you condemning people because of their gender identification, or because they are sexually attracted to the same gender, that's not a sin, people. That is not a sin. Being attracted to the same gender is not a sin. The sin comes in when you act upon those feelings, but it is the exact same thing for heterosexuals. Okay? It's not a sin for a man to be attracted to a woman, but it is a sin for him to engage in fornication with that woman. Okay? Homosexuals, transgenders are under the same eternal laws as heterosexuals. Okay? So anyway, I feel like that's the word the Father wanted to give to you, because I did not plan to talk to you about that. I feel like it went a completely different direction. But there you go. Shalom.